So there is a video, and it's out there in the world on YouTube or whatever. You can find it, and it's a video of the Battle of Ramadi in 2006 in the summertime, and there's this big firefight going on. And you can tell it's pretty intense. There's machine gun fire, a bunch of people putting rounds downrange. People are yelling and barking out orders and passing information. And you can kind of put together that they're working to get a bomb dropped from air support on a vehicle that the insurgents had been utilizing and fighting from. And they get the bomb run. And right as the bomb is about to hit, there's a lull in the gunfire because guys are taking cover, you know, as that bomb is going to hit. And then, so there's a lull in the fire, and then the bomb hits. And there is a massive explosion, and you hear like a couple hoots, and then you hear this bellowing laughter from one person. And you can tell the laughter is sort of, it's some surprise, it's some excitement, it's some level of relief, and it's also just some twisted, dark military humor that's making this person bellow out with this laughter. And I watch that video sometimes. And I listen to that video sometimes, not for the firefight or not for the bomb drop, but to hear that laugh. That laugh is coming from Seth Stone. And you don't see him on camera, but if you knew Seth, then that laugh is unmistakable. And that's what I like to hear. And that's reflective of life. Because Seth was tough, and he was brave, and he was smart, and he was creative, and he was a combat leader. But above all those characteristics, what I like to remember most about him now that he's gone, is his laugh. And humor is a blessing, and laughter is an antidote to pain and suffering and anguish. And sometimes it's the only relief for those things. I have another friend who once told me everybody's got their Vietnam. And in this particular case, he was talking about the fact that his first girlfriend when he was a kid was older than him and was bigger than him, and she would just pick him up and kiss him against his will, and there wasn't anything he could do about it, and so he just had to deal with it. He just had to get through it. Everybody's got their Vietnam, he told me. And he wasn't in Vietnam, nor was he even a veteran, but he was just adding humor to life. But there is some truth to that statement. Everybody struggles in life. And those struggles vary. Some struggles we face are imposed on us by the world. Some struggles we face are imposed on us by ourselves. They also vary in intensity and consequence. And depending on who you are, when it's your problem, when it's your struggle, that's the world. And as was with Seth, one of the best ways to overcome struggle is humor, comedy. And that same friend of mine certainly has used humor to get through his life. Let's get through some of his struggles, and some of those struggles more severe than just getting kissed by a 7th grader. His name is Theo Vaughn, and he's here with us tonight to share some of his struggles and some of the lessons he's learned in making everyone laugh as a comedian in order to overcome those struggles that we all face. Theo Vaughn, Thanks for coming by, man.
Good to be here, man. Thank you guys for having me. What's going on? Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about Mr. Stone, man. I didn't know that guy, but it definitely, I never been through anything like basmati, you know. I mean, I've had their rice, I guess. I don't even know what I've had. I think. I don't know. I mean, yes, I have had it, and I think I'm going to say I have. And that's actually one of my favorite. I like a long.
So basmati is a kind of rice?
I think it is.
Echo, confirm?
I can neither.
Come on,
confirm,
bro.
Nor did Jasmine.
If anybody at this table had more experience with rice, I'm going to say it's you, brother, to be honest, man. No offense, dude.
That's an advanced rice.
Yeah, yeah, sorry. But, yeah, man, I never had anything like that. But, yeah, I think, I don't know. I'm just happy to be here, man. I think, everybody does have their own Vietnam, you know, in some ways. Sometimes they're small and sometimes they're big, you know. Sometimes they're on the inside of us and sometimes they're on the outside.
Yeah, I was one of my kids came home, and I was still in the Navy at the time, and I came home and there was like wars going on and there was something happening overseas, and I was trying to contend with how we're going to get guys prepared for this combat situation. And I came home one time and, you know, one of my kids complained about something, and it was some kind of real struggle. I forget what it was. But I remember at first I was kind of like, what are you kidding me? We're at war. I didn't say those words. I was able to keep myself in check. But what I realized was whatever you're doing in life, that's your world, right? And so when that world gets tough and you don't know anything else, man, that struggle, that is your Vietnam.
Yeah.
And that's where people end up. Whether it's, you know, some girl kissing on you when you're whatever.
Susanna, dude. Well, the tough part was other people were walked, like the bigger boy, like my brother and his friends, the bus would pick them up first. And so then it would come and get me. And so that's when she would pick me up. And it was like my first girlfriend. So I was also like excited kind of to have her, but I was kind of embarrassed, honestly, to have her like in front of, I didn't want I was just kind of, she was just tougher than me, you know? She played, I think, baseball, you know? And she could have played softball.
Right.
So
she just opted.
Yeah, dude. I mean, she was doing that, you know? So, yeah, dude, they didn't even have that back then.
So let's get into, for the people, a lot of people don't know who you are, I guess, that might listen to this podcast. I know you're really famous as a comedian, right?
Yeah.
That's the deal?
Yeah, I've done well as a comedian, man. And so I'm grateful to have that. I'm happy to be here today with you guys, man. You know, I really am. Thanks for having me.
So you grew up, where were you born?
I was born in Louisiana. I was born in Louisiana, in Covington, Louisiana. So not a real, I mean, it's a good place. We have the tallest statue of Ronald Reagan.
That's cool.
And he's never seen it, but we got it. So if there's ever like,
what's the connection with
I think
Ronald
it's made out
Reagan?
of copper too. So like homeless dudes are always trying to like get in there and chip his thumbs off and you know get the reimbursement. But
why Reagan? Is he connected to that town at all?
Somebody dug him. Somebody that had enough copper enjoyed him, and I think donated it to the city. To be honest.
No, your dad was like an older gentleman when you were born.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my dad was 70 years old. My dad was born in 1910, and he was from Nicaragua, and he was so he was a senior citizen when I met him, you know. So,
and he was from Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Now I saw that he was from Bluefield, Nicaragua.
Yeah, he's from Bluefield. I've never been there, but I've heard it's a tough place to be sometimes because of their politics, but I heard it's really nice.
I heard that, and I don't know what's your dad's like background? Was he from there? Because I guess this place was kind of settled by European pirates.
Oh, damn.
Have you heard this?
Yeah, I don't know what my dad was doing as younger. I never even seen younger pictures of him, so I don't know.
No eye patches?
Yeah, I never seen. Yeah, I never seen him. You know, hanging out with a parrot. I've never seen any of his, you know, past work. When I knew him, it was just a lot of stories, and there was more like the stories by the time I met him. Mm-hmm. And stories, you know, they get barnacles on them over time. They gain traction. They get tread. They take different avenues. And so by the time I knew him, it was more. I was kind of left with just the stories, you know, the refined stories, you know.
How do you end up in America?
I don't know, man. I really don't
Just
know.
random.
And those are things I wish that I'd have been able to know better. And I think those are things where sometimes, like for me anyway, where I feel disconnection sometimes is not having had that, some of those types of conversations when I was old enough to kind of care, And yeah, when I was like 12, once I got to like 12 or 13, I was like, it was kind of embarrassing. Having such an older dad, my dad he'd be asleep at like events. He would fall asleep at the carpool. When he'd come pick us up, he'd fall asleep. And so the lady had to go wake him up. It was always like so much extra stuff that you don't think you have to deal with as a kid. Just a lot of like,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he was cool though, man. It was also interesting. He knew a lot of people that were about to die. Everybody introduced me to was about to die. So.
And what was the deal with your mom? He must have been some kind of he must have had some cool characteristics. Because how old was your mom?
My mom was 32 when I was born, and he didn't have any money. So I don't know who would bang an old dude with no money, bro. That's insane. That is pioneer woman, dude. That's
I know
Betsy.
one woman that would.
That's true.
You're related to her.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a pioneer woman. You want to talk about a pioneer woman?
Was he
It's
super
a woman.
suave or something? Was he super like?
He had a comb, I remember, that he kept in his pocket. Maybe he was.
Pretty dope.
He had one of those small combs men used to keep. They still keep them in Cuba a lot of time. You see a lot of Cuban men still got that small comb on them.
Mm-hmm. And you think that might have been the critical factor for your mom, looking at him thinking, damn, look at that comb.
I think in a small town, something like that could stand out.